Welcome back to Autism at Home, brought to you by us at Early Autism Project Malaysia through our non-profit initiative, The Hope Project. My name is Jochebed Isaacs, and it's so nice to see you again. Welcome back to our series on building tolerance. This is a 7-part lesson, and in the previous lesson, which is the first one, we actually introduced the general guidelines for building tolerance. In this lesson, we will be talking about building tolerance to hair cutting. Now, this may seem like a very typical routine, but can be extremely difficult for children with autism. One of my first ever experiences was with a little Egyptian boy in Wisconsin in 2006, and he actually had an afro because cutting hair was so challenging. Well, his amazing supervisor, Michelle Sherman, implemented this hair cutting program, and I think within about a month, he had his first ever haircut. He sat for 20 minutes, and I remember his mom crying, and well, all of us were crying. Now, you may be one of the many parents who may dread taking your child to the hairdresser because of the protests and meltdowns. Now, before we start, let's think about what makes hair cutting so difficult. Is it that a child does not understand the expectations? Or would it be the sounds in the hair salon that make it so overwhelming? For some of our children, it is really just too much, with the loud sounds, the spraying of water on their hair, and the falling of cut hair on their neck. Now, the good news is that we are pretty successful in our hair cutting programs. I want to say 100% success with this, although I would say that some children may take longer than others, and some parents may prefer to have these haircuts at home. In this lesson, we hope to break down the different areas of challenge and ultimately achieve the goal of completing a haircut routine at the hairdresser. Let's start with the prerequisites. Apart from the basic cooperation and compliance with the first 10 instructions, understanding of basic instructions and of the visual schedule, and some level of functional communication. One additional prerequisite is the ability to sit still on a chair for an increasing amount of time. As for materials, you will need a social story on hair cutting and preferably a video model as well. You can decide whether to use the clipper or just a pair of scissors. Then just have it ready. For the razor, ensure that the razors have safety measures put in place. For the scissors, consider using rounded child-safe scissors. For this lesson, we will just practice with the scissors. Then you need a hairdryer, spray bottle, and cape. A first-then board and a visual schedule of the routine as well. Before starting the tolerance program, it is necessary to identify the key challenges. This can range from issues in tolerating the sound of scissors clipping around their hair, inability to sit through the entire hair cutting routine, or even tolerating wearing the cape. Sometimes it may even be the loud sounds of the hair dryers or the spraying of water on the hair that is the problem. Any child can have more than one challenge. As for reinforcement, it is important to use super strong and exclusive rewards. In step 1, communicate expectations. Utilizing a clear social story, video model, visual schedule, communicate clearly to your child the steps for hair cutting. You may even want to go through some children's books or cartoons on getting haircuts, just to expose your child to the concept visually without any demand, and to just build that desensitization and tolerance. Step 2, probe. We introduce the tools for hair cutting, be it the cape, the scissors, the hair dryer, or the spray bottle. You could try these one at a time, or even put them all out on the table to probe and see your child's level of interest or distress. Maybe start with the cape first, as it may be slightly easier for your child to tolerate. If your child starts to protest and try to move away from the table, it will be good to start to try to introduce them much more gradually, either from a further place in the room or even just using pictures initially. At this stage, your child is not required to touch the cape, the scissors, or other items. Just even tolerate them being on the table. Oh, do remember that you need to read the social story and or video model before starting to give your child an idea of what is happening. You would also start to model, sometimes having a doll sit in the chair or get a haircut or even demonstrate it ourselves. All these are just additional steps to help reduce that sort of anxiety that a child may be having surrounding this particular routine. We remember even letting the kids sometimes take turns to be the barber, and well, we may have endured a snip or two from time to time. Then in stage 3, practice. Now it's your child's turn. You can always start with just one specific target. In this case, it may be just wearing the cape for a start, and the goal will be to gradually increase the duration of time of wearing the cape. For the cape, gradually build towards touching the cape on their body without securing it, then a little bit longer, then fastening the cape around your child's neck, and eventually wearing it for much longer. The next phase involves getting your child to tolerate the movement and sounds of the scissors snipping around their head. Then the moving scissors actually touch their hair a little. Make sure this is done at every angle to help your child desensitize to it, as some children may be more sensitive around some areas like the ears and their neck. Again, gradually build up the time. Next, we then need to actually start cutting or trimming your child's hair. You may start with just moving the scissors around their head before snipping once or twice, and then provide immediate reinforcement. Gradually build the number of actual snips of their hair, starting from 1 snip, and then 3 snips, and then 5 and 7 and more until the ideal duration is met. The ideal duration would be how long it would take for the hairdresser to cut your child's hair. Please be careful when doing this practice and trim a little bit of hair only per snip. We want to make sure that your child still looks good and that there's enough hair for the hairdresser, the real hairdresser, to cut. Also, before going straight to the snip, we've also done this for some kids, allowing the hair to fall a little on their neck. As for some of our kiddos, that has been the most challenging part. So you still need to really individualize it, and if your child is still squirming or trying to escape out of the chair, chances are we may need to take it back a step or two. Then move to stage 4, the big day. First steps will include working together with the hairdresser. Explain to them what your objectives are and the areas of challenge your child will experience during the whole experience. It is highly recommended to schedule visits to the salon with no pressure to cut hair at the initial visits. The child can just sit on the chair first, maybe even just wear the cape on a different day's visit, then sit a little bit longer. Then maybe sit with the cape with the scissors just moving around their hair until they actually get a haircut. This broken down step will also be helpful for your child, as they will also be able to desensitize to the sound of hair dryers in the salon while sitting on the chair and doing their practices. Then you can prepare for the big day. In some cases, parents have gone first and gotten their hair cut. Again, step 1, communicate and model expectations. It's time to pass the baton to the hairdresser. Even though your child would have successfully completed the first few stages, it is always good to help them build a positive association and a feeling of success when they do get a haircut. Come prepared with the visuals, the materials that would help increase your child's success. You may still need to hold them in case they do move about. And remember, the ultimate reward is to be given for this ultimate experience. We can never go with just one haircut for the rest of our lives. Hence the importance of building a positive association with the hairdresser and whole experience. So here's how the practice can be done. First, read the haircutting social story, then show the first then chart and the reward to your child. Then show the video model if necessary, and then you may begin the practice. Finally, don't forget step 5, which is to review. If it went well, then great, you can start to plan for the next haircut, maybe not too long away, so that your child has it still fresh in their memory for the next haircut. You may even want to start generalizing the expectations, maybe with a different hairstylist or even a different hair salon. If it didn't go too well, then troubleshoot which parts still need to be simplified or practice further. It may be necessary to choose the quietest time to go to the salon and to request that initially no hair dryers or electric razors are turned on if the sound tolerance is the issue.
Pop quiz. You are studying the hair cutting tolerance program with your child who has never gotten a proper haircut. What would be your first step? communicate expectations, demonstrate the haircutting routine on a doll, probe their reaction to gauge their tolerance level, or all of the above. Yes, you will be doing all three in that order, communicating expectations, but also demonstrating and most importantly, gauging your child's reaction and response to the haircutting.
Now it's your turn. Try to identify and probe your child's level of tolerance towards haircutting. Once the key challenges are identified, use steps 1 to 4 and plan as well as start a haircutting tolerance program for your child. So that's it for our lesson on haircutting for children with autism. We hope that this has been helpful to all of you. In the next lesson, we will be talking about nail clipping for children with autism. If you haven't already, do check out our free online resource platform, Autism at Home, which has all the corresponding articles and downloadables for you. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram and Facebook to stay updated. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.